And welcome to the 35th episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. On today's episode, we have the cast of John Abbott College's Mary Poppins joining us. And I truly cannot wait to have this supercalifragilistic 35th episode for you all. So without further ado, let's hop in to this episode of the Little Thespian Podcast with the cast of Mary Poppins. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 35th episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. On today's episode, we have a heck of an episode because it is a supercalifragilistic episode with the cast of John Abbott College's Mary Poppins. So we have a bundle of guests, and it's going to be so much fun, and I cannot wait to jump back in to Mary Poppins, which unfortunately wasn't able to happen because of COVID. But we have several people, and I'm going to go through each and every one of them just to, introduce each other. So how about we start with Carolyn?
Hi, I'm Carolyn, and I played Miss Lark in Mary Poppins.
And how about we just go in alphabetical order? So Deirdra.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deirdra, and I played Mary Poppins in Mary Poppins.
Jake.
Hi, I'm Jake. I played Von Hustler and a chimney sweep in Mary Poppins.
Miranda.
Hi, I'm Miranda, and I played Mr. Northbrook and also a chimney sweep in Mary Poppins.
Noah.
Hi, I'm Noah, and I played Robert Tanai in Mary Poppins.
Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean, and I played the chairman of the bank in Mary Poppins.
Riley.
Hi, I'm Riley, and I played the statue of Queen Victoria and the general ensemble member in Mary Poppins.
And last but not least, Vanessa.
Hi, I'm Vanessa, and I played the messenger, and I was like an ensemble character in Mary Poppins.
Thank you all for being here. And I know I just messed up with R and S. Apparently I cannot do the alphabet properly. But we definitely had a lot of fun with Poppins, and we've played so many people in it. And we got to do so many dances. which is my first question, which a lot of people wanted to ask. How was doing those dance rehearsals? Because my God, guys, we know with supercalifragilistic, it was a lot, to say the least. Does anyone want to talk about how crazy the dance rehearsal was?
Well, if you don't mind, it was really like a learning experience. I remember like the first week, at least for me, and I remember Brennan and a couple other people, we were like, oh my, there's no way. there's no way. And then when I saw the passion of the other people, and then we all started stepping up our game, and then it was actually really getting on point and stuff. It was during practice and rehearsal, it was really getting really good. At least for the dancing and the musical numbers and stuff. Yeah.
If I can add on to that, I think it was clear that we had so much to do in so little time. I mean, we had one semester of CEGEP to do this huge like project, and it was like sold out and everything. So there was a lot riding on this one. And I could really tell that everyone was super committed to like learning the dances because first of all, they were really fun. And second of all, at least for me, I got to see like, wait a minute, like I can kind of dance. So this is also like, you get to push yourself, you get to see where you are, and it's a great experience.
And if I could add on too, I think, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like once we got down the letters for supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, I feel like everything else just kind of like was a piece of cake. And I will never forget those letters for the rest of my life. Like I can still do them in my sleep. But yeah, and also obviously like shout out to our amazing choreographer, Michaela Bianchini, I believe that's how you say her last name. Because she was awesome. Like she was honestly like the best choreographer I've ever had. Like she was so energetic and she was very good at keeping us going, even if it was at like 9 o'clock at night. We had just been like hours in rehearsal. She was always like she is the embodiment of like coffee and love. Like she's awesome. So yeah, definitely like props to her for all the choreography and stuff.
Yeah, I feel too that like months or over a year now, over like since the show's been canceled, that like if we were to like restart production today and like go back to it, that those moves were like so specific and well taught that like if we were to start up again today, that I'd remember all the moves almost. Like it was so, I don't know, it was so like iconic to that time.
I just want to add on to what everyone was saying. Do you guys remember the dance audition? I remember, I don't know how many bars it was. It was a quite short little part of the dance, and it was to Step in Time, and it was absolutely crazy, but so fun. And I remember after that audition, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be a chimney sweep so bad. And then when I was finally a chimney sweep, I will never forget that whole choreography. That was absolutely insane, but so fun. I've never been challenged that much at a routine, but like everyone was giving their 110% every single time we ran that choreography. And it was so fun. Oh, I missed that so much.
And even just like the warm-ups before the actual dance rehearsal, like Michaela was brutal. Like she did not spare any expense. Like me and Noah, I remember this clearly. Like we had to do like this sort of squat and like but hold it on our toes, and we had to hold it for like 30 seconds or a minute or something like that. And like me and Noah were just like dying, like, oh please. And Michaela was like, I swear to God, if one of you touches the ground, like don't. And we were just like, oh my God, like this is serious. So yeah.
And it goes for every dance number. Every dance number, even ones that I wasn't part of, like watching them was great. Step in Time is so good because it has such a like great beginning where it's like, whoa, check out how many people we have on stage, all in choreography, and it ends in such a really nice way when everybody runs in through the bank's house, and it ends on such a happy note that it really feels well paid off. And the finale is probably still my favorite one, the Anything Can Happen, which
yeah, that was my favorite dance too. I love that one.
Yeah, just to add on, I think, all of them were so technical. And I mean, apart from just trying to get your feet to move the right way, you were trying to sing while doing it too. So Michaela truly was amazing, and she made little modifications here and there. But she really was the magic to the show. I mean, she nailed it. Every choreography was different. It was diverse. It was fun. It was really, really fun. So very, very technical, very, very challenging, but very, very fun.
I just remember like seeing all the dances for the first time like on stage. It was so fun and so satisfying to see everyone's work, even though this was like the week before we were supposed to open and it got shut down like 2 days later. Like it was just so fun to see everyone's hard work put together and seeing all of us on stage. It like truly felt like it was coming to life.
Yeah, speaking of the stage, when it was finally built, and it was like, okay, we're gonna start doing practices on stage. You could tell how we were all good because we didn't even get direction in like the sense of like, okay, this is how it worked. We were all so practiced in our dances. We knew where to go. The stage really wasn't even that. It was okay, yeah, that makes sense of where we ended up and how it worked out. There was like a couple hiccups, but other than that, it was fully just we were all like, we got it. We understood how the stage worked with the dance choreography and stuff, which again goes to Michaela and her direction as well with that, which was great.
And as much as the dancing was a huge factor, like Deirdra said, the amount of singing that is in this show and the amount of times we were next to that piano going over everything with Jason, I want to know how it felt for you guys to be singing this material, because a lot of it it's Disney, guys. It's very over the top, to say the least, right? So how was learning all this amazing music for you guys as well?
I think it was all, the whole experience was just amazing. Like, I mean, me personally, like, I love Broadway style, Disney style music. So it was very cool, and I'm already like a big fan of the show Mary Poppins. But I was not necessarily surprised because I was expecting it to be challenging, but it was really challenging. Like, I think the most challenging part for me was during Anything Can Happen, and we had like that moment where like Mary and the kids see all the stars, and we have like some like 4-part harmony, but it's just on the word ooh, and there's like 7 billion different notes in there. I'm hyperbolizing, but you understand. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's like the amount of times that Jason got mad at us for messing it up, like core memory. It was fun, but it was very challenging.
Yeah, those harmonies are crazy. There was some like really creative stuff. It was crazy on that.
I still remember sitting in the studio once we nailed down those like 4 harmonies and like hearing it all together, like that first time that it worked properly. And I remember just being taken aback, being like, that is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. And then every time we did it, even if we messed up, like sometimes it would still sound pretty, and I miss that so much.
I remember specifically, Miranda, what you're talking about was with Jolly Holiday. That was the very first time I remember being like, oh fuck, this is really good. like it really like got nailed down. It was really good. I remember really enjoying it. That Anything Goes as well was another one of those, like, I remember because we had to like study it to memorize the moves and stuff like that, and I remember just like watching it, I was like, this is like really good. like I remember I was just having such a blast listening to it. You know, it was just showed off hard work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite parts of the show as well. Was like, I always struggled with the dance because they were so challenging, and I was never really challenged like that before either. And same with the harmonies, was like learning. I feel like a lot of people learned more like about like how to harmonize and like where to harmonize, and like I'm gonna keep that knowledge with me forever because I learned so much from that show, and like that was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, I don't know about anybody else, but I came into this with, this was not my musical style. I was so into my pop, my country, my everything else but this. And, you know, when I was younger, of course I did some musicals, but it's not the same. So I came in with very, very little experience, and Jason was amazing and just drilled it into us. And I think by the end, once we saw that final product, it's like, hey, we did that. We kind of pulled that shit off. And it was just great. It was a great feeling. But you know, the growth from the beginning to the end was immense.
Coming from a place with no experience at all, no knowledge of musical theater, just being in that room was great because, like, again, learning about harmony and all that, it was a challenge. I, like many of the people in the cast will agree, like, I was willing to take that challenge head on, and it was very fun and very insightful. Like, now I know, like, sort of how harmony works in a sense since doing that. So it was great.
I remember just being so overwhelmed with like the material and the songs and all the harmonies. I'm in no way a singer, and learning all those harmonies was kind of intimidating, and I was very scared of Jason. I thought he was going to single me out and just be like, do the harmony, and I'd be like, I can't do it on my own at all. But it gave me more confidence as I went on, even if I sounded bad, doesn't matter. Like, it just gave me more confidence that I knew semi what I was doing, but I owe that to Jason.
And that's the thing, guys. Musicals really give confidence to people. Like, honestly, like, I remember learning that, like, anyone can sing, right? People don't think they can, but in reality, everyone can. And Mary Poppins is just one of those shows that is just so positive. Everything's so positive when you listen to it. And yeah, it's a really beautiful musical, and I'm so glad that we got the chance to do it. Talking about songs and whatnot, do you guys have a favorite song that you like from the show? I know there's so many to choose from, especially you, Mary. But do you guys have a preference? Do you guys have one that you always like to listen to?
Anything Can Happen for sure is probably my favorite. It's because it's anything can happen with context, probably is the best way to put it. Because when it's such a great finale, it really encompasses the whole like mood of the entire show, and it really ends with a bang. So that one's probably still my favorite.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Also because the whole cast was in it. Like most dances, the whole cast wasn't in it. It was just Super Cal and Anything Can Happen, if I remember correctly. So just having the whole finale be everyone there, it just made it so much more special.
I have two favorite songs. The first one is with Bert and Mary sitting on the rooftop, and they have that like beautiful harmony, and then Mary just dips. And like I remember us always like pretending to see the technical thing. Deirdra would just be like, "Ooh," and we'd be like, "Wow, so technical." It was funny. And then the next one, I listened to Step in Time. Like I think almost before every rehearsal to like get myself like pumped up. I also love Step in Time. It's gonna sound bad, but I wasn't in it. Not that I didn't love dancing and singing, but I love being able to watch because you hardly even get to watch a musical when you're in it like a lot, right? So it was so cool to be able to like watch this number and sing it from the wings, the sidelines, and it's just such an incredible number. So I love that song too.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of Riley, I would say, I mean, I have two as well. One would probably be the Chim Chim duet. Shout out to Pat, he was amazing, and that one was fun. Apart from that one, probably Super Cal because it was so inclusive. The dance was awesome. It sounded great. It sounded amazing, and it was just a fun number to do in general. It gave you all the good vibes, all the good stuff. So it was fun.
I'm a big fan of Jolly Holiday. I wasn't in it, but watching it and like listening to it, like my memory, whenever I listen to it again, will always be tied into the performance and how fun and wacky it was. So I love Jolly Holiday. I always will.
Yeah, I agree about that one. There was something about that one, like the motion of the way everything was working, like the the dancing and the harmonies were so good on that song. I like have a very clear memory of seeing that like really come together for the first time, and just being like blown away watching that. Since I wasn't in that scene, it was a great scene.
I think I also have two. I would have to say, once again, like Jolly Holiday. I was in Jolly Holiday, and it was just like, it was such a great number to be in. It was so fun, and like, it was an amazing number. And Anything Can Happen, just because, once again, the harmonies were amazing, and we were all in it, and we all sounded great, and it was so fun to do.
I feel like I have such an odd favorite song, but I'm sure you guys are going to agree with me. I love Brimstone and Treacle, but like the reprise with Mary Poppins and Miss Andrews, it's just so funny and so good, and the vocals are so fun. Oh my gosh, I think that's my favorite to watch. Oh, wait, no, Step in Time and Jolly Holiday were my favorite to watch. Those three: Step in Time, Jolly Holiday, Brimstone and Treacle reprise.
That's actually so true. I have to agree about that. The reprise is so good.
I completely forgot about it. You just like reminded me, Miranda. It was also like everything with Miss Andrews, like the music was just amazing.
It was insane to sing, but it was so much fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember watching the whole like thing of going like, oh my god, this must be a nightmare to like remember at the choreography, because well, there wasn't a lot of dancing. It was a lot of like placement. You had to be in right places and interact with certain objects, and it's like a really long, like most songs are, other with the exception of Super Cal, are, you know, they're pretty normal length to it. Like I think Brimstone and Treacle, because there's a lot of like song, a little bit of talking, song back into a bit of like movement around and stuff to get into position. It's like 4 minutes long, and it's like gonna be like such a nightmare to like remember. Oh, dude, it was insane.
Also, Feed the Birds, incredible. And we haven't talked about the Banks family, but unfortunately, none of them can make it tonight. My God, just the entire cast. Shout out to everyone that's a part of the cast, because honestly, just the environment that we were around every single day was incredible. And yeah, it was just all the songs, right? And I know that's a like kind of a cop out, but all the songs were great. Also that you guys named, Practically Perfect, we didn't talk about either, but my God. We can talk about songs all day because the entire album's incredible. But I also want to get your guys' take on character. So if you guys were to play another character, who would you want to play and why?
I loved my character. But if I was going to do something else, I really loved Jake's Von Hustler band. Like I just thought that'd be such a fun, like such like a villain character. It was so good. That was a hilarious character.
To be honest though, Noah, you were so perfect as Robert said. Like it was like actually perfect, like legitimately.
Thank you.
I don't have an idea of who else I would have liked to play. The only thing I can think of is when I was auditioned by Jason, I was auditioned as I did a song as Bert, and I did a scene with Bert as well. So, I mean, if that's an inclination, I guess I'd like to do Bert. That would have been a fun role to do. With the accent and everything would have been really fun to play.
I would have loved to play Mrs. Banks. I so often get typecasted as a mom, but also I could just like sympathize with her character so much, and her character has such emotional depth that she keeps hidden because she has to deal with her duties as a woman in that time. So, but you really get to see like her vulnerability dealing with the problems in her marriage and everything. So I think like her character really comes to life in the musical versus not as much in the movie, which I had only seen the movie before working with this musical. I had never really seen it. So I think it would be such an incredible character to play if I could develop my skills a bit more. But yeah.
I just was gonna say, I think that I'd really love to play Bird Woman, just because I feel like she has such a meaningful character. Like her interaction with Jane, you can see like the impact that it has on her, and her songs are just like incredible and so difficult to sing. Emily did an amazing job though. Emily was perfect for the character. Shout out to her. But I think she'd be an amazing character to play.
I think, funnily enough, I might go complete opposite on this one and say Miss Andrews, just because it's so different from Poppins. Poppins was, posh, sweet. She had her moments of being a little sass here and there, but for the most part, posh and sweet. So Miss Andrews is something completely different. Maybe I would have, liked to have given that one a shot. I don't know.
I would have to agree with you, Deirdra. I would love to be Miss Andrews just because she's so like funny. Like she's comedic relief in a way, even though she's the villain, which I think is a very interesting role to play, which I think would have been very fun to be the villain.
Not to repeat exactly what you guys were saying, but that's where my brain went to. I was thinking Miss Andrews have been so fun to play, just because she's so evil. I don't know. I would have loved to try Miss Andrews out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who I would play other than Admiral Boom. I think I was decently casted for that. I don't know. I did like George Banks too. I find his story, his arc, it's something amazing. But yeah, I don't know who I'd play because Admiral Boom's just a fun character to play. But I'm sure they all are. I actually want to jump into a hard question, kind of. Some people were asking, what was the hardest part about doing this production? Now, it might have been the dancing. I don't know. It might have been the singing. But there are so many things in this musical. There's magic happening in front of us. There's crazy dance numbers like we were talking about. What was the hardest part for you guys doing this production?
I can start. Like I had mentioned before, everything was so technical, from the singing to the dancing to the acting. Musicals are just technical productions. So I would lean more towards the time restrictions that we had. We were trying to put together this monster of a production in just shy of 2 months. So, any production is going to be difficult to try to assemble in that short amount of time. But a musical, on that is difficult to do. So I think knowing that we didn't have that luxury of time was difficult. Everything was sped up. The whole process was in fast forward, and we were just going. So I think that short time frame was difficult.
I definitely agree with Deirdra that the time restriction was definitely difficult. The first thing that came to my mind for the hardest part was for my role. Everyone knows, like, I'm a soprano and I'm very girly and I'm always typecasted as like nice girl and that type of thing. So playing a man was difficult and I'd never played a man before. So definitely working on changing and making him like a soft man and changing my little solo to like an octave higher, and trying that out was definitely difficult. Trying out like a Yorkshire accent was difficult too, as I was trying to imitate like a man voice. But it was fun. Totally got me out of my comfort zone, and I loved every second of it.
You played it so well, Miranda. I remember every time you were on stage, I was so blown away. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I could do a male character justice like this. And you killed it. Even with that change. Oh my goodness.
You killed it. Absolutely killed it. Says you.
So much love. I really do love you.
I remember, like, there were times where, like, I remember I was like, I forget what day it was. I think it was like a couple of weeks, but I remember I came up to you because you were like, oh, I'm kind of swamped with work and stuff, and I was like, Deirdra, we need you because you were the heart of this. You and the kids really were like the heart of this production for everybody. We look to you for a lot of our own motivations, because we look at you and we go, oh my God, look what she's doing. She's working so much harder. She has so much more to do than everybody combined, you know. So we really appreciate all the work you put into it.
You're gonna make me cry a little bit. That's really
for me, the probably the hardest, there was two things. One, the pressure. I give a lot of props to Jason, but Jason was not a very kind when it came to pressure, because it was like, guys, he'd be like, guys, we gotta get it done. We got like we have to have this done by now. And it was very, very, there was a lot of pressure buildup, which was really it. And for me, genuinely, was getting into character. Mostly because I became good friends with George Banks, which was another Riley. So I'd see him with my friend, and I had to have this like superiority complex over him, and it was really hard to not like break into a smile or a laugh. So for me, it was really getting into character. It was pretty tough for me, because any scenes where I had spoken dialogue that wasn't a background extra and or dancer, that's easier to emote because you don't have actually anything to like work off of. It's just, oh, I'm in this scene under this context. But when you're talking to somebody, it's way harder to put in emotion that is matter. So that for me was the hardest part for sure.
I have a really odd answer for this, but so in Spoonful of Sugar, there's a table that breaks, and so someone has to be under the table, which was me. So I had to be under the table, and whenever there was the cue when Roberts and Noah like hit it, I had to like collapse it, and I was under the table, and I was like in child's pose for the whole duration of the scene. So that was fun, but the only difficulty I would say is that my right foot would fall asleep, and then it would start like really hurting, like the next 3 minutes, like the 3 minute mark. I was like, okay, like my foot's starting to hurt now. And then like the scene had kept going for like another, 5 to 10 minutes. There's a whole song and everything. And then like my foot progressively just got like in worse and worse condition. But other than that, like that's a notable difficulty for me. So yeah.
You were a fantastic table. Just like to say, I feel like Spoonful of Sugar was like a chaotic train wreck every single time. Like whether it was like dropping the eggs, like forgetting to say some lines, or it was so fun. I'd say I'd have kind of a weird answer too, but I think like the difficult part for me, something that I've struggled a lot with theater that I'm like getting a lot better with now, is like feeling like I deserve to take up space on stage. Because especially like the production that we had done before, which like some people in here have done it, the Innocence Lost production, I'm like very critical on myself. I was super unhappy with my performance in there. So this production, I felt like, okay, I need to take up more space, and I really struggled with like having the confidence to do that. And then ironically, I was given the role of Queen Victoria, so she doesn't really say anything, but she has the hugest costume, and she's all in white, and her hoop skirt is like all around. So it's like I have no choice but to take up space right now. So that was a little struggle like within me, but it was a lot of fun to wear the rehearsal skirt and then try on the costume once and embody her, try and like take up space without saying any dialogue. I feel like that was a bit of a challenge as well, but it was all in all like a wonderful experience.
I also have just a really specific hard moment. Definitely learning how to use a puppet. I used a puppet for Willoughby the dog, and I had never used a puppet in my life. And actually one of the prof teachers, I think his name is Zach, I don't know. He's like, I know he's like the puppet teacher or whatever. He basically gave me a crash course on puppetry, and I just had to learn in like, I only had used the dog for maybe 3 weeks. So I had like 3 weeks I had to learn how to make like a puppet dog be real, but also it can look fake. It was just very interesting, very weird.
Yeah. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Alicia as well, because she worked with us a lot. And when Jason couldn't take the time to go over stuff, Alicia was there. Honestly, I just think all of it was kind of, there was times that we were just exhausted And I think that was something that was difficult, at least for me. When we're there till like 9 o'clock and we're still running so many of the dances, it's just, I know it needed to be done, but that was a difficult part for me. Um, but yeah, it definitely turned out to be good, and I wish people could have saw it, guys. I really did, because it would have been spectacular. With that being said, people were asking, and I mean, it's the elephant in the room. How was your reactions in regards to it being canceled once we actually got that news?
I mean, I think I can speak for all of us when I say it was heartbreaking. I mean, it was devastating. It never feels good. It never feels good. But it was something that was completely unforeseeable. Unfortunately, these things do happen in life, and the number one priority was to look out for health of everyone, and that really is number one. That comes above everything. So in that sense, yes, we didn't get to perform. As much as it would have been great to put it up in front of an audience, the experience will never be taken from us. We got to grow. We got to be with each other for 8 weeks. We still got to perform it many times, just not in front of a live audience. These things happen, but we still got to do it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Deirdra. It was definitely heartbreaking. I think the first thing I did was like go into the shower and cry. And then I got out of the shower. And you just kind of you go on. I don't feel like I still haven't like processed it yet. I don't feel like I'm done with Mary yet. It's weird. There's like we were speaking before we started recording about closure and everything. I don't really feel like any of us has gotten closure, that much. It just kind of felt like it was paused or left in the air. But one of the positive things I find that really came out of it, the cancellation, was like, you see, obviously on social media, because we can't be around each other at this time, but just the amount of love and support that we felt from not only the John Abbott Theater community, but like, just everybody in general, like within the cast and the crew, everybody was just kind of like giving each other a virtual hug. And there were so many kind comments on like, how hard we must have worked and how like their heart goes out to us. So that was really, it really like theater just is, oh, theater is awesome. It just brings people together in like the best way. And I think this has really been like an evidence of that.
Yeah, it was. I remember it happening, and I knew it was like there was like a delay. First, it was gonna be delayed, and then eventually it was canceled. And I was like, oh, that's I don't see what else they could have done, kind of thing. And I was really thinking, and then it really started to affect me, because I was really thinking about it. And I was like, man, we were all on time. We were always working. We didn't mind staying later. We were dedicated. We were all there for each other to help get through stuff. It was nuts. And that hurt me more, was all the time and effort that was put into it was really the thing that hurt, because we at that time we wanted nothing more than to put on this show for everybody, and we got to put it on for ourselves. And it's a shame that we weren't able to give it to everybody else. And it really did affect me a lot.
I think you guys did cover the majority of it, but no, yeah, it definitely was heartbreaking. I used to like come home every night and just tell all my friends and my parents in the house, just telling them how amazing rehearsal was every single night. And those months were honestly a highlight of CEGEP. But yeah, we were definitely all really supportive of each other afterwards. And it was good that we had each other's back, always talking on the group chat, keeping updated with each other, doing things like this. We were able still to be in touch. So yeah, we still got the memories. So I guess that's what counts.
Yeah, I remember being in denial, like when they said that, oh, the school might be canceled. I was thinking we had time to perform it, then it would be canceled. And then when it was canceled, I was like, okay, but like we'll return back and we'll do it. But eventually it did just get canceled. And it was sad. I was like, oh, like, man, like we really had something special here and we didn't get to perform it. But I think quickly I quickly took it for what it was, and I really enjoyed the actual experience of it. And that is something like we can't take away because it already happened. Like we got to experience all those great rehearsals and like all that. So for that already, I'm grateful. But it also was, it was very sad that it got canceled.
Yeah, I think everyone covered it, but it was absolutely devastating, especially since we were 1 week away from performing it to everyone, and it was sold out. It was the fastest John Abbott show that sold out without us even advertising for it. It was just, it almost felt like the work was for nothing, but as time went on, like I realized, like, no, like, we got to do this together. We still got to experience a John Abbott musical, and we have all the memories. So.
And it was so surreal. Oh, sorry. No, you can go ahead. You go ahead. You haven't spoken yet, and I'll add my favorite.
I was gonna say, yeah, I know it was really hard for me. Like, I can't, like, when a Mary Poppins song comes on, I still cry. Like, I'll start singing it in my head, and I'm like, spoonful of sugar. But yeah, I was in denial for a while too. Like, I kept on being like, it's gonna happen. Like, we're gonna put it on one way or another, and then, here we are. But yeah, honestly, just the experience of it is really like what I think about when I think about the show now. I don't think about like the fact that we didn't get to perform it. I just think about all the memories that we have. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I just find it was so surreal. Like within the span of a day, everything got flipped around. Like I don't know about you guys, but rehearsal was the very last thing I ever did at John Abbott. Like besides go and pick up stuff, for a day. But the very last thing in the building. We were at rehearsal till 10. I was super tired, and I'm still upset that I didn't hug everybody because I didn't know it was going to be the last time. And then the next day, school was closed, and it stayed closed. It's still closed. It was just that's really hard to process in and of itself. Like the quick turnaround of how drastically things can change, and then the day that we're supposed to open, it's canceled. It's really poetic in a way, but obviously it's still hard to deal with. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm same with you. Like when I think of Mary Poppins now, I just think of the wonderful weeks that we got to spend with each other. It was the best rehearsal experience of my life.
Yeah, I think, like Carolyn had said, what made it even more difficult was that we were going into our tech week. We were right there. We could taste it. The costumes were done, or practically done anyway. And we were right there. But knowing that we still got to do this all together, and it was a journey, and definitely memorable. It'll stay in here forever. And I find myself sometimes still slipping into Poppins land in the middle of, my house, and my family thinks I'm crazy, but they've accepted it by now that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was devastating, but I'm so glad that we do have amazing memories from it. And who knows, I don't think it will get remounted, but as Mary says, anything can happen if you let it. So I guess we'll see, but it was definitely a great, great thing. And as much as now it's done, we're in a whole new chapter, guys. It's now the past, and now we can look onto the future. But before we hop into the future, and then unfortunately we need to go, I want to talk first about what is your guys' favorite memory from the show? This one might be hard. I think there's so many fond memories that I have of it. But what was your favorite part, your favorite memory of the show?
I definitely have two. Number one, Jake being the table always cracked me up. No matter how many times I saw it, it was just absolutely amazing. It always put a smile on my face. And number two was definitely Mary Poppins when she had to say goodbye to the kids and she had that song at the end all by herself. It made me cry. Like, Deirdra, you're so good. It made me cry every time. Like 2 times that like you performed it, it was just so like heartbreaking, and it reminded me like this is what theater is about. It's just this is what it is, you know, crying together and just, you know, seeing amazing performances happen.
I think for me, it's really dark, but only because it's a really dark scene. But it's only because it almost made me cry every time. It's when George Banks, played by Riley, finally snaps and starts yelling at his kids. It genuinely made me tear up every time. One, because Riley is so good at doing that. And it really, I remember that was when we did our first run through, I think it was week 4 or something. Week 4 or 5, I don't really remember, but I remember that was like the first time it wasn't just like, okay, let's get the lines through. Okay, now let's get some stuff. This was like fully without any handles. It was so emotional. And I remember when Percy was done, she was crying because she was like, I just felt like my dad yelled at me for real. And I was like, it stuck with me. It really stuck with me. That's probably my favorite part because it's the part that really kind of drove a stake through my heart at that point in the show.
I have 2 again. One is the feeling when we're holding that last note in the finale and we do like the final pose and we're all there and we have like a picture of it, and it was so, oh my god, I have 3. Another one just came up. The first time I went to go rehearse on the stage and I get to stand on this like platform, which is kind of scary because I have this huge hoop dress and there's a lot of stairs. But if you ignore all that, I remember just standing there and like looking out into the audience and imagining it being filled with people and just like, you know, taking in that this is like my last John Abbott production and like, you know, the emotions of that moment. And then the third one, sorry, I'm talking so much. But one time Jason took the people who weren't in Step in Time and we went to go into a music room and just do vocal rehearsals. And Jason is such a good storyteller. So obviously he got into storytelling with us. He was telling us the story of this one production of The Wizard of Oz that we went to go see at John Abbott. And this one set change, he said, changed his entire life. And from that, like one production, he was like, I want to teach theater. I want to like do theater. So basically he was telling us that like, you guys have the power to change people's lives when they come see this show. Like, hold on to that feeling. Like, you guys have the power to change people's lives through theater. And I think like that is probably going to stick with me for the rest of my life. Because yeah, it's like it made me realize that I want to do theater for the rest of my life and change people's lives.
I guess I have 2 or maybe 3. One was, I mean, we were trying to, Jason has these big ideas, big dreams, and he was trying to figure out how he was gonna fly me off and on stage, and he went through about a gazillion different ideas before he came up with probably one of the most just, you know, practical ones, which was just using a green screen. So there was, I think it was actually 2 days before everything shut down. And I got to get into full costume, hair, makeup, and go and film this green screen bit of me flying off. Very technical. My arm was very sore, standing there holding the umbrella, but so much fun just seeing myself all, I mean, I was very, very fortunate. I got to put on that costume once, and unfortunately that was it. But that was a fun moment. And apart from that, just being all together, the magical moments happened, you know, on stage in rehearsal, but the real fun moments were, you know, outside of it, before rehearsal, after rehearsal, just being in everyone's company, seeing that passion. When you share a passion with someone who's just as passionate as you, it feels good. It feels really, really good.
Personally, it's so difficult to think of like my favorite memory just because there's so many that come to mind. Like you guys were saying, 3 different memories. I think there's just so many inside jokes within the cast and so many just funny moments that are probably not that funny, but for some reason to us, they're absolutely hilarious. Like just the Jake underneath the table. And like we started calling him Nigel. Does anyone know why we started calling Jake Nigel. I don't know either.
I don't even know myself.
Great.
I'm not, so.
It's not funny, but for some reason to us, it was absolutely hilarious. Or just moments like that that are not funny, but just were so funny in the moment, I'll never forget. Or learning the step in time choreography was super fun, as I said previously. But I remember just those extensive rehearsals, like every Wednesday night, it was always like step in time, let's go at it, and adding more every single week. And I used to come home with my legs absolutely exhausted, ready to go to bed, but so satisfied and so happy. And everyone was so down to work. And I loved it. And that whole portion where we were like throwing the chimney sweeps and then people got hit in the head and then chaos. And it was just so funny looking back. And I would not take that back for the world. It was so much fun.
Yeah, just to piggyback, we were all working so hard. The work ethic was there, the motivation was there, the passion was there. It was evident. But you had these funny moments that brought you back and made you think to yourself, okay, wait, we are humans. We're not just robots in character. We are human. There was this, I think there was one, I'm about to out Pat, so he's going to really hate me, but there was one during a dance rehearsal where I think it was Super Cal. It might've been Super Cal. And he goes in for a splits at the end and just completely rips his pants. And it's moments like that that bring you back and say, hey, we're all human. We're out of character for a second and we're human and we're here and we love this and we're doing it together. So moments like that.
I agree. First of all, I'd like to thank Carolyn. Thank you for enjoying my performance as the table. I think I wouldn't do this story any justice if I didn't tell it, but one of a good memory that strikes me like during Mary Poppins is again during Spoonful of Sugar, and it was not my foot falling asleep and falling off, but it was when Noah didn't really know what to do with the table and all the directions and blocking and all that. So just to preface, I'm underneath the table and Noah usually like does his thing, and like we find ways to communicate to each other through the scene. So maybe he looks down at me and like we look at each other for a second, or sometimes I slap his leg and he's like, oh, like but he doesn't do it because like he's acting. But regardless, Jason is showing him how to do this scene, and I'm like on autopilot mode and I see legs and I'm like, oh, like this is Noah, so now I'm gonna go ahead and like give my friend a slap on his calf. And then I do it, but the legs feel different. I'm like, okay. And then I look to my right and I see Noah's legs and I see Noah's shoes. So I'm like, those aren't Noah's legs. And I look at the legs that I slap. I look down and I see the shoes of Jason Howell. I slapped the calf of my director and I like froze, and Noah can attest. It was a very funny moment. And I actually told Jason about it and he remembers it and he thought it was funny too. So that was a great memory.
I'm so glad we're doing this podcast because I didn't know that this happened. And now I know. Oh my God, that's so funny.
It's going to be hard to follow that. But yeah. There's so many fond memories, guys. And now I can't add to that because it's a perfect ending to talking about our fondest memories. We were just talking too about like, the good memories and whatnot. And some people unfortunately don't go into theater because they're scared to. And I know musicals are a very scary thing. So I do want to ask you guys if you guys have any words of wisdom for people who may want to jump into theater.
Sorry, you want to go first, Riley?
Sure. I think because that's really relatable to me, because like the whole time we were doing Mary Poppins, I thought this was going to be like, the nice bow at the end of my theater career. It's going to be a grand finale. Then I was just going to be done. I was going to go to like a more practical, quote unquote, job with a more steady income, study something else. And then it just got canceled. And I was like, this can't be the end to this, but I'm like too scared. I don't think I'm good enough to go into theater. And then my guidance counselor asked me, she was like, what would you do in life if you weren't afraid? And I was like, well, it's so clear. If I wasn't afraid, I'd go off and be on Broadway. And then she's like, okay. And I was like, oh. So it's like the only thing getting in your way is most often times yourself. So if you ask yourself that question and the answer is theater, then go do theater. Just go do it.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that. That would be my word of advice, is just to follow your gut and do it, because for me personally, I can sit here and overthink every single aspect of doing something and psyching myself out. But all it takes is that leap. And from then on, you can just like, go with the flow. And I think that's incredibly liberating, because I remember just going into theater in the first place, I was like hesitant. I know I wanted to do acting, but I was hesitant about it because I was overthinking. I was like, maybe I'll do tech. But when it came down to that decision to go tech or to go acting, I let go of the control, and I just went with acting, and I don't regret it. So it's all about just taking that leap.
And to add on to that, remember that for the most part, it's going to be, with the exception of this semester, obviously, but for the most part, there's people there supporting you. With this semester, we just had the director, but I remember, I got my script when I was cast in Mary Poppins, and I made it clear to Jason when I did the audition. I was like, I'm not a very good singer, in the sense that I can't really do a lot of work with that. And Jason was like, that's fine. And he gives me a part that is, even though it's small, there's a whole solo to myself that I have to give. And I was like, oh great, like this is gonna be it. But I was with the help of my castmates as well as the director, I was able to get through it. So you know that you're not going in alone. You have people there who we all build each other up. That's one of the best parts about theater. Even with this one, even with this semester, which had just very small monologues, I remember in the dressing room right before, we were all like, oh, you got this, and it's all about having a team building, almost sort of like feeling towards it. So you're never going to be alone. Don't go in there saying you think you're going to be alone. That's something, and I have to say is, Patrick taught me that, and thank you so much for that, Patrick. That really means a lot to me.
All I'm going to say is, if you're passionate about it, if you have this burning, fiery passion for it, and it excites you, then it's for you. If you know within that this is what makes you happy, then it's for you. Theater is, in my opinion, a space for everyone. You grow and you learn. And that's what theater is all about. You're not going to come in being this perfect human. It's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. So if you come in and you come in with confidence and you know that this is what you like, it's for you. Make it happen.
That's a really great way of putting that. I think it's so easy to just let fear get in the way, and to let how you think others will perceive you get in the way. And at the end of the day, something I've recently realized over quarantine actually is those that are judging you, or those that you're scared of how they perceive you, are just the ones that are insecure about themselves and that are scared about how others are going to perceive them. So if you're just going to live your whole life in fear of how the world sees you, then you won't live your life to the fullest, or do what truly makes you happy at the end of the day. So I think to just, like Jake was saying, to just take that leap and to just say, you know what, let's forget what people think for a second and just do what's going to make me happy. I think that's where it all starts.
Yeah, I totally agree with everyone. And I truly believe that everyone should do theater at some point in their life, whether they do it as a hobby or professionally. It's just such a life-changing thing. I've met my best friends through theater. I'm still friends with people who I've done theater with like years ago, and it just changes you as a person and makes you a better person, in my opinion. And you're bonded with your castmates like forever because you were part of something so special and so magical. So I think everyone should be a part of theater at some point.
I don't think I can add to that, guys. You guys hear it a lot on the podcast. It is the 35th episode. And I always ask this question to every guest I have on, because there are people that are super scared to, again, Jake said it, take the leap, right? It is scary. It's a scary business. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But once you do it and you're passionate about it, I've said it before, it's a career of passion. If you're not passionate about it, you wouldn't do it. But there's so much in it that you find the smallest things, and the most joyful things, and the things that scare you the most. And theater is that thing, where you just go and be yourself. Even though you're playing people, you learn so much about yourself in every production you do, every single one. Whether you have one line or whether you have 100, you learn something about yourself. And you touch people in so many different ways because of the stories you tell, because everyone's different and everyone's going through something. And yeah, it's incredible. So guys, I have 8 different people telling you guys to just go and do it. And every guest that I've had on before is telling you guys to go and do it. Take the leap. Someone will be there to catch you, I promise. And with that being said, talking about taking the leap, I want to talk to you guys about the future. Is there things in the pipeline for you guys now after the crazy year we've had? Are you guys doing more acting? What are you guys up to?
I'm definitely still pursuing the theater program at Abbott. I have one more production this year, and then I'm going to apply for the professional program at Abbott and see if I can get through there. I do want to have this, even if it doesn't really work out towards a big thing. Even as a hobby, I'd love to go to community theaters and stuff like that and still act and stuff. I still have a passion for it.
Yeah, I still have 2 productions to do at Abbott. So we're gonna see how those go. I'm not sure where COVID will be for the next 2 productions, if we're really gonna be able to put them on, but hopefully by my last one in winter 2022, we'll have like a musical. That's what I'm hoping. And then eventually I'm hoping to go to a university for musical theater, but I'm gonna take a gap year so I can like save money and take other lessons on the side just to improve myself.
Yeah, same. Well, I'm in the process of taking a gap year now. I just recently finished up my gen eds online, graduated from John Abbott. And I recently had the incredible opportunity to perform at the Siegel Center with the Table d'Hôte Theater Company, curated by Camilla Fitzgibbons. They kind of gave the opportunity for theater graduates in Montreal whose projects were affected by COVID-19 to perform on a live stage in front of an audience. And that was like, oh my, like I couldn't have asked for a better first professional acting experience. Like it was so cool. And it's definitely like pushed me to want to pursue acting like even more afterwards. So yeah, after my gap year, I'm hoping to go to university. I would like to study other things, but also do theater simultaneously. And then I'll probably pursue theater more like seriously after that. But who knows? It's definitely something I can't stop doing theater anytime soon. That's for sure.
Yeah, I have a couple of productions at Abbott still to do. As far as after that, I'm not quite sure. But the thing that being in Mary Poppins has taught me is, I'm just gonna go with the flow. I forgot what I was gonna say, but again, like for the next 2 productions that are coming up, like hopefully they won't be canceled, but when I do them, I will know like the actual like depth of like what I'm doing, because in retrospect, like I realized how impactful Mary Poppins was and how great it was. So for my the next projects coming up, I will know that like you could have something special going on.
So next year, I mean, I just graduated Abbott about a month ago, And next year I'll be in Toronto studying musical theater. So that's really exciting. And I'm excited to go on that journey and continue the whole theater journey.
I'm not really planning on pursuing acting professionally. I hope to be doing some like extra work, especially since in Montreal it's pretty easy to do here. But I will be studying film in university, so hopefully I can produce some films and TV shows, and hopefully move into video games, be in a video game one day. I don't know, but that's what I plan on doing.
So currently I just finished my first year at Concordia, doing a major in communications and a minor in journalism. So hoping to go radio and television broadcasting route. So there is some theater in that. It kind of follows the same direction, but also looking to do a bit of theater on the side. Right now, just trying to focus on studies, but you can never know. The future holds a lot. So we'll see.
Honestly, everyone, I cannot wait to see the future. You guys sound like you have everything kind of, somewhat set up, and I cannot wait to see what it holds. Because, yeah. The Siegel Center, O'Reilly, I wish I could have made it. Unfortunately, I was working, but my God, what I've heard, it's incredible. And Camilla was actually my first guest on the Little Thespian Podcast 34 episodes ago. The woman's a gem. I love Camilla. But as I lose my voice, we are coming to the end of the episode, unfortunately. But I always shine a light on my guests, and you guys, I mean, how am I supposed to do this with 8 people? You guys are all amazing. I wish we could have done Mary Poppins. I literally have my script right here. Yes, I brought it out. I wish we could do it right now. But unfortunately we cannot, because it did get canceled. But I wish we could do it in some way. Just go out and sing in the streets. But I guess with COVID, that's kind of hard with the amount of cast we have. But yeah, you guys are all amazing, and I cannot wait to see the amazing future you all have. And Sean, I'm hoping to see you in Prof very soon, man. And I cannot wait to see all of you guys do your amazing stuff. Before we go, this episode has been practically perfect in every way. Yes, I'm going to do all the Poppins puns now as we're ending. But the task is done. It's crazy to me that this is our 35th episode, but I do have a bit of a treat that you guys are going to be seeing once this is up. But I guess anything can happen if you let it. Thank you all so much for joining us. It's been supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Now to play us off is a cover of Mary Poppins' song by the John Abbott casted Mary Poppins Deirdra. She's going to be singing at the end of this episode the final song that she sings off for you all. So we hope you guys enjoy. And thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you all on the next Little Thespian Podcast. Bye, guys.
In every job, when it's complete, there is a sense of bittersweet. that moment when you know the task is done. Though in your heart you'd like to stay to help things on their way, you've always known they must do it alone. There, practically perfect, and I do hope it remains so.
The lights are off, the curtain has fallen, and it's time to say goodbye. Thank you all for joining us on the Little Thespian Podcast. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to ask, either down below or on any of our platforms. On the next episode of the Little Thespian Podcast, we have the incredible actress, model, photographer, and singer Amy Ring joining us on episode 36 of the Little Thespian Podcast, where we're going to talk all things Peter and the Starcatcher, all things Dr. Faustus, all things Laramie Project, and resilience. It's going to be a great time in episode 36 when we have the incredible Amy Ring joining us, and I truly cannot wait. Hope you guys cannot wait either, and thank you guys so much for the amazing support you guys continue to give us over those 35 episodes. If you guys want to show some more support, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to us here on YouTube. And there's going to be a new Shakespeare Sit-Downs Macbeth coming to you guys very, very soon. So look out for that. I really hope you guys enjoy that as well. Thank you all for watching, and thank you so much to all my guests, Carolyn, Deirdra, Jake, Miranda, Noah, Riley, Sean, and Vanessa for joining us on episode 35 of Little Thespian Podcast. And thank you so much, Deirdra, for singing us out in that amazing, amazing way. It was practically perfect in every single way. And I truly cannot wait to see our amazing work, hopefully someday. Thank you all for watching this episode, listening to our podcast here today, and thank you guys so much for 35 episodes. It's another amazing milestone, and I cannot wait to go even further into this journey with you all. It has been incredible, and I truly cannot wait to announce some amazing things coming shortly to the Little Thespian Podcast. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to always shine bright. This has been your host, Matthew Crandall, and we'll see you all on the next Little Thespian Podcast.